Welcome back everyone. In today's video we're going to be talking about overprint and how we can turn it off and on quickly within Adobe Acrobat using a Preflight. So in front of me I have two files here, one called knockout example and another one called letterhead example. We'll get to the letterhead one later, but we're going to open up our knockout example, and if I expand this out you can see it's just a simple 8.5 by 11 flyer that has some text in white and some other colors as well. So if I click on the output profile, which you can also get to in print production, output preview, sorry, not output profile, output preview, once I click on it, you'll notice immediately that the text that is in white disappears. And if I click through the other colors, everything else seems to be fine. But if I turn the output preview on and off, you can see that that text disappears. And why is that exactly? Well, if I go into the color warnings section of the preview and I check show overprinting, you can see that all of that white text is currently set to overprint. Now, obviously this is going to present a problem when we send this to press, because you cannot overprint white on a CMYK image. So we need to be able to change those from overprint to turn overprint off. So how can we do that? Well, the simple way to do it for a one-page PDF or a single image or two, or a single line of text, is to just open this up in Illustrator, select the objects that we want to change, and then under the attributes panel we just uncheck the box that says overprint. But sometimes it can get tricky, especially with text, if you don't have the font. For example, let's say I open this up and as soon as I open it, all of the fonts kind of blow up on me and I don't have them, and so now I'm unable to change it without changing the fonts. I could always outline the fonts. There's some different workarounds to it. Or let's say, what if this document was 100 pages long and you have to go through and edit them one by one. Obviously you don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is create a Preflight, and I've already done this, but I'll show you exactly the settings. So I have one here in my single fix-ups that I've called Turn Overprint On and Off. And if I click on Edit, this is how you would create it. Under the color spaces, spot colors and inks, there is a fix-up called Set Overprint and Knockout. What I've done is I've called it that, and I've given it a description of turns overprint settings on or off based on user input. So by default, this is set to knockout. You can also change it from knockout to overprint to unchanged. And what I've done is I've created a new variable so that we are going to be able to select one of these three options when we actually activate the fix-up. Same thing I've done here. This is by default, this is set to on, and this is the Illustrator overprint mode. And then what do we apply this to? So by default, it's I believe it's set to all objects, but you can select specific things like a white text object or a white vector, and I've created this as a variable as well, so when we apply the fix-up, we will be able to select just what we want to apply that to. So if I click OK and I go ahead and I click the Fix button, we're going to apply this to, in this case, this is just white objects, so we're going to apply it to white vector and text objects, because some of these are text and some of them are actually vector objects as well. And we're going to change this to off, and we're going to set the overprint from overprint to knockout, because that's basically what we want to do here. Is we're removing the overprint setting. So if I click OK, and we're going to prompt you to save, so I'll just call this overprint off, and I hit save. It'll run the profile, and then if I close this and go back to my output preview, you can see now the text stays here, and if you look at the actual output settings over here, now these have changed to 0% on anything that is white. So now when I go and I send this over to my printer, now it will just knock out any of these white areas. So that's how you make that quick change, and obviously that Preflight will apply to every single page in the PDF document. So if you have 100 pages or 1,000 pages, it'll fix any occurrence of a white set to overprint. So that's one example. Now if I go back and I click on my letterhead, I open this up, and this is a letterhead here that we have. It's two colors, so you have a blue and a black here, and I have this area down here where the black is going to print on top of this blue. So if I kind of zoom in here, I'm going to grab my marquee selector and come down here. If I open up my output preview and I click on the different spot channels here, it's a blue. I just label them blue color and black so I can see the difference. So if I uncheck the black 5, you can see currently it's set to knock out. Normally that's going to be okay, especially if you're going to use a digital printer, but if you're going to set this to print, let's say on an offset press, that's probably going to present a little bit of an issue, because the pressman is going to have to register the two different plates on basically right on top of each other. And when you set this to knockout, it's extremely hard to get that to register right on top of one another. So the better option is to actually set this as an overprint, so that you'll have a solid blue bar beneath where the text is, and then the black will print on top and overprint on top of the blue. So that way he doesn't have to register the print. So how do we change that? Well, again, you can go into Illustrator, or if you created this in InDesign, for example, you can just go in there and you can edit your attribute settings for the text. But let's say, again, if we open this in Illustrator, all of a sudden the fonts blow up on us. I don't have these fonts and I need to fix this. Well, I can create another Preflight function, and I've already done this. And so this is the one we used in the previous example. This is the one we're going to use right now. So I've called this one Turn Overprint On or Off for a Spot Color. So if I click on Edit, basically you're going to use the same fix-up that we used in the previous setting, except that I changed it to Spot Color, and then over here under the description, I gave it a description where it says, it changed the specific spot based on the specific spot color name that we're going to input. So same settings apply here, apply to same variable that we did before, same here, same variable that we did before, except the third option where it says apply to, what I've done is I have created a new check system, basically. So what I've done is you type in spot color name, and what it's going to do is it's going to look specifically for a spot color name used by any object. So in this case, I set this to equal to, and then I gave it a variable. So I just click new variable, and I just call it text. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to prompt us for an input of that spot color, and it's going to look anywhere within the file for that spot color name, and then it's going to set it to whatever overprint settings we want. So we click OK to go back here, and this is changed to a new check, which is what we just defined there, and I hit OK. And so now when I click on Fix, it's going to prompt me for whatever that spot color name. So actually, if I cancel this and go back to my output preview, I can see what I named it Black 5, and this is going to be case sensitive as well, so I'm going to have to use a capital B, a space, and the number 5. So I'll click on my fix up, and what I want to do now is I want to change this to overprint being on. So I want to go from knockout to overprint, and then I want to type in black 5, which is what we got from the output preview, and then I click OK. It's going to prompt me to save, so I'll call this one overprint on, and I'll hit save. It'll run the check, and now if I go back into my output preview, you can see that once I deselect the black 5 spot color channel, it's now a solid blue bar beneath those texts and the images there. So basically what we've now done is we've created these as overprint, so when we go and make our printing plates, we'll have a solid blue area for our pressman, so that he or she does not have to struggle to register these colors on top of one another. So those are just a couple examples of how you can quickly apply overprint settings for both a digital print or an offset print. There are tons of different customizations that you can apply to these. I didn't really dig too deep into this, but you can apply it to just certain specific objects. If you have certain CMYK values that you want to use, you can do all of that just by kind of playing around with these settings. But that's a basic understanding there of turning overprinting off quickly using a pre-flight function in Adobe Acrobat Pro. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. As always, I appreciate everyone watching the videos. Please like, subscribe, and share this with as many people as you can. And until next time, take it easy.